Thom Hartmann here on the best of the rest of science and green news. You need to know this. It's only been a week since that massive oil train explosion in West Virginia, and already lawmakers are using that disaster to make their case for the Keystone XL pipeline. However, those lawmakers never say that the tar sands pipeline would bring an end to oil trains, and they can't say that oil pipelines are really safer. In his comments about that explosion, Congressman Alex Mooney, Republican from West Virginia, said, "It is unfortunate that the president continues to use executive action to obstruct projects like the Keystone XL pipeline," end quote. But that pipeline wouldn't make our nation any safer. According to data from the U.S. Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, PHMSA, oil pipelines spilled 3 times as much oil as trains over the last 8 years. Just look at the Kalamazoo River spill, which saw 800,000 gallons of tar sands oil contaminate that one waterway. Although we've seen far more train accidents over that time period, the pipeline spills have released far more oil. And nowhere does it say that finalizing Keystone means the end of these dangerous oil trains. This is all just a scam and an attempt to exploit a tragedy so that a foreign corporation can make billions pumping their toxic sludge through our neighborhoods. The only way to have fewer oil disasters is to use less oil. And the best way to use less oil is to use more renewable energy. We can't allow ourselves to get sucked into a phony debate about whether we should be using trains or pipelines. The real answer is to stop using both. We have to keep up the fight to keep Keystone from becoming reality. We have to put an end to the rest of the oil trains and the pipelines, too. We only have one planet to call home, so we better get busy making sure that we don't let it get completely destroyed. In 2010, the European Union required candy companies to warn customers that some dyes in their products were linked to hyperactivity. Rather than changing their labels, the companies removed artificial dyes and flavors from their candy. 5 years later, Nestle is finally removing those same chemicals from candy here in the U.S. According to EcoWatch.com, the change will affect 10 brands and more than 250 products, which will boast new labels by the middle of the year. Doreen Ida, the president for Nestle's USA Confections and Snacks, explained that the company recognized consumers want products with fewer artificial ingredients. She said, "As we thought about what this means for our candy brands, our first step has been to remove artificial flavors and colors without affecting taste or increasing price." Makes you wonder why those chemicals were in the candy to begin with. Regardless, it's good to see that one of the world's largest food companies is making a move toward more natural products. Hopefully, they will continue to make food healthier and inspire more companies to do the same. Last year was the hottest calendar year on record, and this year started off by continuing that trend. According to NASA and the Japan Meteorological Agency, January 2015 was the second warmest January on record. Although it's been cold for those of us in the eastern United States, the rest of the country and the world is way warmer than normal. In fact, large areas in North America and Asia are as hot as 14 degrees Fahrenheit above average. And despite all the snow in some areas, this month is on track to be far warmer than average. Professor John Abraham, a climate expert, explained, "The last 12 months have been the hottest 12 months ever recorded." He added, "So far this February is much hotter than last year's. That means that in a month we will again break the all-time record." If we keep heading in this direction, it won't bring about good news for our species. Hotter temperatures mean bigger storms, longer droughts, and more strain on resources, and we better get serious about the climate fight while we still have a chance. Your next apple may come with an extra helping of pesticides. According to Politico, the U.S. Department of Agriculture has approved the first genetically modified apple, despite the fact that it's never been tested for long-term safety. The new fruit already tested positive for 42 pesticides and subjects us to genetically altered compounds, all so that it doesn't turn brown. The USDA gave the Arctic apple the green light, saying that it doesn't pose any harm to other plants or pests, but that doesn't provide any reassurance that it's safe for humans. Thanks to the USDA, soon these genetically modified apples could be used in schools and restaurants, and it could be nearly impossible to avoid eating them. Yet another example of why we need GMO labeling in this country and why we must have the right to know what's in our food. The USDA should not approve any GMOs without long-term studies, and they should stop the Arctic apple from entering our food supply. And finally, there may still be some debate about what wiped out the dinosaurs, but scientists say that while they were alive, they may have been high. According to scientists at Oregon State University, a recently discovered amber fossil preserved ancient grasses which were covered by fungus that is similar to ergot. Ergot is the same substance used to make LSD. That means that dinosaurs ate grass covered with the precursors to psychedelics. One of the experts who led the study said, "There's no doubt in my mind that the grass would have been eaten by sauropod dinosaurs, although we can't know what effect it had on them." As far back as the Middle Ages, ergot has been linked to delirium, irrational behavior, even death in humans. But there's no telling how the dinosaurs were affected by this substance. Although scientists care more about the discovery because it expands our knowledge of early grasses, which eventually evolved to become human food crops like corn and wheat, the rest of us are likely more interested in the possibility that dinosaurs were tripping. And that's the way it is for the week of February 23rd, 2015. I'm Thom Hartmann on Science and Green News.